We return to clarity. But hang on, how exactly do we return to clarity, and what even is that clarity? Well, the basic bottom line of clarity is the unbiased perception and recognition of all things as they are out there and inside of yourself. Clarity that is naturally emergent when cognitive bias has been eliminated, when subjective distortions no longer cloud your horizon, no filters, no distorting lenses. Whatever profound insights and rays of enlightenment that may follow, they are entirely contingent on this baseline of clarity, registering actuality, reality as it is with all of its implications, whether we like them or not. Subjective bias, our distorting lenses, are exactly born of that liking and disliking, our reactivity, and with that the biasing of our interpretation of what is. As we examine the pathways and dynamics of cognitive distortion, the planes of your consciousness subject to corruption, there are two standards. In the gold standard, you are able to decouple yourself from the entire stack of your cognition. You watch these processes unfolding as if from the orbit, observing, witnessing, and with ease spotting any distortions in their workings. Where this may not yet be a reality, it's all in the process of our cognitive evolution, refinement, and liberation. We must be methodical, step by step, field by field, discerning the ongoings, reflecting on our internal workings, honest and sincere introspection, self-evaluation, transparency unto ourselves for all that we are. In that, we will both spot our cognitive distortions and learn to rise above our entire cognitive process. In a quick snapshot then, the domains of our being that lend themselves to generating distortions when we are too preoccupied with them. Concern domains, so-called, because on each of these planes of our being there are things that substantially concern us as well-rounded entities. Let still none of these planes be more concerning than our concern for truth, actuality, things as they are. The plane of instincts are survival, biological propagation. If this were the case, we evaluate, and if I accepted these perceptions, it would leave me hungry, it would leave me without a mate, it might compromise my shelter. Therefore, it cannot be so. And so, instinct has overridden truth. Perception of actuality has been distorted to fit your basic need for security. Then to the plane of emotions. Both primary emotions and complex, compound emotions that color and flavor our cognitive atmosphere. These conclusions, if they were so, they would make me sad. Therefore they cannot be. These conclusions, if they were so, they would make me happy. Therefore they certainly are. These conclusions, if that were the case, it would compromise the very basis of a relationship. I cannot see that, I cannot come to terms with that, therefore it is not. And with this, confirmation bias in accordance with our preference, distortions. Then to the plane of our thought forms, the programming we have embraced in the course of our cognitive development, both in way of education and in our studies of life as it happens, the conclusions we've drawn, the frameworks we have set in place. Now these thought frames may not at all be the final word in reality, but if you turn them into the lens through which all things must be seen, and if you turn them into the master frame into which all that exists must fit, you are significantly limiting the spectrum of reality, and you are distorting what is in order to make it fit your preferred framings. Then do not force particular frameworks of thinking. Remain ever open to the raw actuality as it is, and whatever conclusions may be emergent, embrace them, for truth in itself forms the supreme framework of all that be. Finally, we have the plane of identity itself, our self-conception. whatever that we fancy ourselves as being. Typically, our sense of identity is fixed into particular roles and contexts and entangled with one or the other of the primary planes of our cognitive stack, instincts, emotions, thought forms, or self itself, preoccupied with ourselves as the priority over emotions, over self-preservation, over whatever models of thinking. That happens, right? Then on the planes of identity, we generate distortion. The professor shall never be wrong, for their thesis, their conclusions are integral to their professorhood, their identity in itself. The spiritualist, having crafted the most enlightened ego ever, is extremely sensitive to suggestions that their behavior is entirely conditioned, that they react just in different terms, all the same as the other worldling. Truth is no longer the supreme priority. Self-preservation, in the nest we have crafted for ourselves in the finite ego, that is the ultimate distorting lens. Then dissociate from it, disown it. It is a tool, it is an instrument, not a self-serving vehicle, the final word in your existence. Suppose we recognize particular truths. Conclusions emerge. These conclusions are consequential. They will leave us hungry. They will make us unhappy. They will deconstruct our frame of concepts. And they will even decimate our identity. Okay, let it be so, because truth is supreme. Truth is sovereign. And we cannot leap into illusions as a matter of padding this frame of our existence to our comfort. For truth alone is and must ever be. The rest are ephemeral hallucinations. If you latch on to them, you bite into a world of misery. Then allow the imperative for clarity, the primacy of truth, guide you on your journey beyond your cognitive distortions, beyond the convoluted state of being most of us have landed in. The truth shall set you free, but only if you allow it to. If instead the truth becomes your enemy, you enter the battlefield, your illusions versus what is. Your illusions must be preserved at all cost. Then be aware, you are forever the loser, in the grind of your self-constructed prison house, in the mesh of your illusions. Then into clarity, friends, absolution in truth, and may your illusions be the noble sacrifice on the altar of actuality.